Okay, so welcome back to the visiting ward, everyone. We have a special topic today. That special topic being friendships. Friendships are supposed to be easy until they aren't. We grow up believing friends are permanent, ride or die, forever. But no one tells us that friendships evolve, fracture, fade, and sometimes even end without a villain. Today we're talking about friendships, the good, the painful, the ones that saved us, the ones that quietly disappeared. If you ever wonder why some people stay and others don't, this episode is for you. So let's begin with the outgrowing of friends. No one warns you that some friendships don't end in fights, they end in silence. You grow, they stay the same. And one day you realize you're not angry, you're just done shrinking. Outgrowing someone isn't betrayal, it's proof that you listen to yourself. You can outgrow friends. You can outgrow friends that you can outgrow friends by just being there and taking the time to realize that you can't always have it the way that you want it. You can't always have things go the way you want them to go. You can't always have things be the way that you want them to be. And sometimes friends are limited. And it's true, friends are a limited thing. Um, But there's a myth that real friendship means permanence. But permanence isn't the marker of health. Alignment is. People grow at different speeds, different directions, different depths. A friendship can be real and temporary. Sometimes the connection was genuine for that season, but the season ended. That doesn't make it fake, it makes it human. Letting go doesn't erase what was shared, it honors what no longer fits. There's a difference in friends. There's a difference in friendships. There's the real friendships, and then there's the conditional friendships. The real friendships or real friends don't compete with your growth. They respect your boundaries. They don't punish you for changing. Don't require constant access to feel secure. The conditional friend only thrive when you're overgiving. Pull away when you stop fixing. Guilt you for prioritizing yourself. Feel entitled to your emotional energy. Ask yourself, do I feel safe being honest with this person? Or do I feel responsible for managing their emotions? That question alone tells you everything. There are boundaries, but boundaries aren't walls, though. Boundaries are filters. Boundaries tell people how to treat you without having to explain your pain. Boundaries in a healthy friendship include not always being available, not being the emotional dumping ground, saying no without justification, allowing distance without drama. If a friendship only survives when you're exhausted, that's not connection, that's dependency. So let's go back to the real friends versus the convenient ones. Real friends don't disappear when you stop overgiving. Convenient friends do. Real friends celebrate your growth. Convenient friends feel threatened by it. Ask yourself this: do they show up because they care or because they benefit? And then on the topic of boundaries, you don't need a dramatic exit to protect your peace. Sometimes boundaries sound like silence. Sometimes healing looks like distance. And sometimes the most loving thing you can do is stop explaining yourself. So, we've already said that friendships don't last forever. They're not meant to. Eventually, you and someone that you're a friend with, you're going to lose interest in each other. Eventually, you're going to split from said friend. It's going to happen because something's going to go wrong. Grieving friendships that end. Grieving the friendship that you thought was permanent. Grieving the friendship that you enjoyed the most. Friendship loss is quiet. There's no breakup talk. There's no closure. There's no public support. But the grief is real. You grieve because of the version of them you loved, the future you imagined, the safety you once felt. And the hard truth is, missing someone doesn't mean they deserve access to you again. You're allowed to mourn and move forward. Friendship breakups hurt in a quiet way. There's no closure, there's no goodbye, no one checks on you, but losing someone who once knew your soul, that deserves grief too. Building a healthier friendship. There are different ways to build a healthier friendship. It's not just a you thing, it's a us thing. Mutual effort, not obligation. Emotional honesty without fear. Grow without resentment. Space without punishment. The right friends don't ask you to shrink to stay. They met you where you are, not where you used to be. Very true. And you're never too much. You just stop accepting too little. The right friends won't ask you to suffer quietly to stay. When friends change, some people liked you better when you were broken, more available, more forgiving, easier to lean on. Healing doesn't lose real friends. It reveals who never planned to walk with you whole. You don't have to hate someone to let them go. You don't need a villain. Sometimes the chapter just ends, and you're allowed to turn the page without guilt. Sometimes values shift. Sometimes personalities change. Sometimes life phases from school to work to family to healing. People grow at different speeds. Sometimes friendships don't end because someone did something wrong. They end because the version of you that bonded doesn't exist anymore. And outgrowing isn't betrayal, it's evolution. You celebrate growth with your real friends. You respect the boundaries of your real friends. You don't punish them for wanting to heal. And you stay consistent in silence and success. For the convenient friends, they only show up when they need something, disappear when you stop giving, feel threatened by your progress, make you feel guilty for changing. Ask yourself, ask yourself this. This is another question to ask yourself. Do I feel safe being honest with this person or just useful? Saying no should not need an explanation. Not being the therapist friend anymore. These are boundaries. Ending emotional one sidedness. Letting friendships cool instead of explode. A healthy friendship doesn't require you to abandon yourself to maintain it. On the topic of grieving lost friendships, friendship breakups hurt differently than romantic ones. No social script for grieving them, missing someone who used to be, allowing sadness without reopening the door. Missing someone doesn't mean they deserve access to you again. The right people won't require you to shrink, perform, or suffer quietly to stay. If you're listening to this and realizing some friendships don't fit anymore, be gentle with yourself. You didn't fail. You didn't change for the worse. You grew. And the friendships meant for this version of you won't require you to abandon yourself to keep them. So yeah. One of the hardest parts of losing friendships is not knowing why. You replay conversations, you reread messages, you wonder if you missed something. But here's the truth that most people don't want to say. Not every ending comes with answers, and not every silence is something you caused. Some people leave because they don't know how to communicate honestly. Your growth reminds them of what they're avoiding. They changed and don't know how to say it. They were only meant they were only meant for a reason. Closure isn't something someone gives you. Sometimes it's something you choose. When a friendship ends quietly, we internalize it. We think, we think, I was too much. I wasn't enough. If I had just been different. But not every loss is a reflection of your worth. Ask yourself, did I show up honestly? Did I try to communicate? Did I respect myself? If the answer is yes, the ending doesn't define you. There's loneliness after losing a friend. Friendship loss creates a specific kind of loneliness, though. Not the absence of people, but the absence of a familiar connection. You miss the inside jokes, the routine check ins, the feeling known. And the scary part, it can make you want to accept less, just to avoid being alone. But loneliness is not a sign you made the wrong choice. Sometimes it's just the space between the chapters. There's always that moment, late at night, something reminds you of them, and you almost send the message. Before you do, ask yourself, am I reaching out because it's healthy or because it's familiar? Comfort and safety are not the same thing. You're allowed to miss someone, and you still can choose not to reopen that door. But sometimes, most people, they choose to reopen the door. They choose to go through the pain and suffering again. And sometimes sometimes losing a friend, no matter how you lose them, can hurt. It's a grieving process. It's a healing process. I've lost friends in the past uh, because I outgrew them, or because we moved and I never actually got back in contact. People change. Friendships change. Are you still the same person that you were whenever you met your group of friends? Are you still that same person? Do you still feel that same connection to them? If the answer is yes, then maybe your friendship is meant to be permanent. Maybe your friendship is something that you don't have to rebuild. After losing a friend, though, After losing friends, you have to rebuild. The rebuilding process can feel exhausting. Start small. One honest connection, one boundary respecting person, one space where you don't perform. You don't need many friends. You just need aligned ones. The right people won't make you prove your value. They'll recognize it. Hear this if you're listening to this. You were never too much. You were never disposable. And you were never wrong for caring deeply. Some friendships don't last forever. But that doesn't mean that you're meant to walk alone. The people meant for this version of you are still finding their way to you. Take your time. You're allowed to heal. So, in the long term, friendships are never permanent. You may think that they are. You may think that friendships are supposed to be permanent and you're supposed to always have a friend that's there for you. That's not the case. You change, they change, you outgrow each other. The connection fades. When the connection fades, maybe the friendship ends in silence. And it leaves you wondering, did I do something wrong? Was there something that I could have done to have fixed it? No. Connections, much like with electricity, eventually they get wear and tear and they fade. And eventually it goes dark. But to say that we are essentially going through a time of where friendships don't matter. In this day and age, I would say that friendships do matter. I would say that friendships are the one thing that keeps some of us from going totally insane and ending up in a mental facility. Sometimes friendships are what hold you together. Sometimes friendships are what speak to you in a friend that talks to you in a different manner than other friends. They're honest with you. They're willing to sit there and listen when you're having a hard time. They're willing to watch you go through a nuclear explosion of yourself because you finally had enough. It's times like that that you appreciate the friends you have. It's times like that that you look back at things and go, well, I could have done this differently. Or you look back whenever you lose friends because of something that you did and you go, what exactly caused this? And then you look back at it and you realize what caused it. You can't sit there and say, oh, I didn't do anything wrong. Well, technically, no, you didn't. If a friendship just ends or someone quits talking to you because they used to be your friend, it's because the connection has gone away. Ask yourself the question, do I still feel a connection to this person? Do I still feel a connection with this person in a friend way? Friendships are about connections. If you still feel a connection with the people that you call your friends, then maybe, just maybe, your friendship is meant to last forever. But nowadays, friendships are not meant to last. It's like the seasons of the year: winter, fall, and summer. Winter, fall, spring, and summer. You have friends for the season, and then you let those friends go. It takes a lot. It takes a lot to build friendships. It takes a lot to maintain them. But friends should never be asking for handouts. I try not to ask for handouts. If my friends gift me a game that I've been wanting to play, so be it. Thank you. If my friends decide that I'm worth spending money on, thank you. I appreciate it. I don't ask for it. I may mention, hey, this is a game that I'm looking at, and then maybe that same friend that I mention it to buys it for me and them because it's multiplayer. But friendships are not meant to last, especially now in this day and age. Friendships are meant to be temporary. You move on. You move on from the set of friends that you have now. You eventually will. If you don't, then maybe you and that set of friends have a special connection. I know I've got a special connection with the friends I have. So, in closing, remember that losing a friend is not the end of. That scared the ever living fuck out of me. Okay. Do I even. Yeah, I need to get it set up to where I have an outbound thing on my. Yeah, I need to get an outbound thing set up. We're not going to play this anymore. So let's. There. Alright. So, in closing, guys, I just want you to know that friendships, they're special. If you have a set of friends like I do, that they don't leave you alone even when you're pissed off or upset or depressed, you have a special connection. You have something that is meant to last. Always remember that if you find that person or people that you have a special connection with, remember to talk like adults. Remember to be adults. Don't act like high school children. And until next time, guys, I close the doors. I lock this visiting ward closed. And I will see you next time. I've been your warden, Mad Kildorn. Thank you for coming.